Coming Down is proudly sponsored by Colorado Ganja Gear, high-quality, artistically inspired herb grinders. So let me tell you, these things are great. I actually own one. My favorite part is the perfect consistency you get after grinding. Some grinders just pulverize your herb into dust, but the razor-sharp teeth and smooth action on these always leave you with perfect, fluffy, evenly ground herb. The craftsmanship is top-notch, made from aircraft-grade aluminum to guarantee you won't get metal shavings mixed into your herb. But the best part, truly, is each grinder features original artwork created by Colorado artist Lori Beatty. She creates unique mandalas that are laser-etched into each magnetic lid. And each grinder comes in a silk bag and has free shipping. So just go to etsy.com/shop/Colorado Ganja Gear and enter the code COMINGDOWN in all caps for $5 off, or go to the show notes for this episode and follow the link. Thanks and enjoy the episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to Coming Down. This is Matthew, joined here by my co-host Nathan.
Hello.
Welcome everyone. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Portland.
I know, it's back.
Yeah, right? The sun came out, it's all hot again, the bugs are flying in my face.
Yep.
I'm already sick of it.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I was going to say we'll be bitching about it in no time. Turns out that time is now.
Oh, yeah.
Right on, man. Well, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been a little up and down, but I'm feeling good. Unfortunately, good. I've been woken up early the last 2 days because they're ripping up my street.
Fun.
And I'm pretty sure they ruptured the water main or did something else to drop the pressure in my house. So I left and they've got like this gas-powered pump like running for reasons on the street that they ripped up. And I'm just like, okay, there's no workers around and there's just this like thing that's running that's sitting on my property. All right, well, hopefully my water works when I get home.
Yeah, for real. Oh, damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. But, you know, it's springtime. Everything's fucking Twitter-pated. So, like,
right.
You know, just kind of naturally I've got more, like, endorphins and weird shit going on.
Oh, man. Even just, like, the smells, you know? You walk outside and you're like, some smells. Some, like, interesting aromas. Like, that'll just kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Change that endorphin, delivery. I don't know. It's cool.
Doubt. The jizz trees over by my house are blooming. So yeah. It's always nice.
Just dumping.
Yeah. I'm like walking to work. I'm like, ooh, that's potent.
Nice.
Yeah, you know. But yeah,
yeah,
life is good. Can't complain too much.
Yeah, same here, man. Every week I wish I had something to report. This is the funny thing too, man. Like, my job is so fucking boring. I could never tell a work story that would be remotely interesting. So yeah, it's just like, well, yeah, I worked and some stuff happened. We organized all our vinyl.
Nice.
That was exciting. Which is actually cool because we've been uploading it onto Discogs. So if anyone wants to see our collection, I can give you a link and you can just go and see like everything we have. Which I gotta say, we've got a pretty cool collection. But but yeah, other than that, man, just getting through. Ordered merch. Merch is on the way.
Yes. Hell yes. I'm so excited.
Yep.
I mean, I want some of this shit just for my house, you know? Like,
yeah, for real. Yeah, and I've already scouted some good sticker spots, so those are going to get hit right away.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah, I've got a few bars that I would definitely want to sneak some coasters into, you know?
Yep, definitely. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything to say on this episode?
You know, it's just a guy that I've known for a long time. Like, you know, I don't know if we ever went to the same school, but, like, we kind of grew up in the same town and, like, did some, like, Parks and Rec community stuff together and have some weird shared memories and just, you know, knew some of the same folks and like ran some of the same circles. I mean, it's a fucking small town. So.
Yeah, totally. But then, you know, you guys kind of lost touch for a while and then reconnected later.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. In fact, I don't think I saw him for like 20 years or something.
Holy cow.
That. And, you know, I was doing my KJ thing at BWA for a little while and he came in a couple of times and was just like, hey man, this is what I'm doing. And I was like, holy shit. It's so crazy to like see you again after all this time. And you know, he became a fan of the pod and one of our first patrons. And
right,
you know, like anybody else who approaches us about a story, I took it at face value and was like, yeah man, I mean, if you got a story to tell, let's get you in here. And
yeah, definitely.
I was a little surprised, you know, like you know, I mean, he kind of knew the same crazy stories that I did, like, growing up, but, like, I didn't know that he went on to like kind of
Do
some real
wily shit,
crazy shit, you know, like, so, you know, good on him, like, for making it through all of that. It's,
yeah, this episode is a ride for sure. Re-listening to it, I was just, I was excited.
Hell yeah.
This one's good.
And, you know, he's doing great now, like, doing good things.
Awesome.
So seeing some cool shit.
Hell yeah. Right on. Well, I think speaking of patrons too, I think we have a new one this week.
Yes, we do. Meryl Palmer.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Man, we're just getting new contributors every week. Like, this is just so cool. Like, I can't tell you. Every time I see one pop up, I'm just like, I kind of can't believe it. Like, more people want to like help us out with this. But gosh, you know, thank you, all of you, every single one of you. This is so cool.
It's pretty fucking goddamn amazing. And I mean, I don't know exactly when we started recording, but we've definitely passed the year mark of, you know, just getting together almost every week and doing this. So
Yep, for sure.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, we've been recording for a good while now. So this is episode like 28. So that means we've been airing for 7 months.
Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Let's fucking let's get it on.
Let us keep house. Of course, my fucking phone dies as soon as I pick it up. Yep. So, if you want to check out the show notes, I don't know, like, what, if any, show notes we'll have for this specific episode, but if we do have any, that's going to be on the mothership at comingdownpod.com. You can also find links to all the platforms there, as well as links to our Patreon.
Right, as we mentioned.
Absolutely. If you would like to donate to us, that's the easiest way to find it, but you can also go to patreon.com/comingdownpod. And every little bit helps. We're going to have some new tiers coming very soon. And as we mentioned, merch.
It's literally in the mail. So, like, we've threatened for a long time. Like, every episode for so long, like, that we swear it's coming. Well, it's fucking coming, man.
Coming.
The storks are fucking flying here as we speak.
Better watch out. And if you would like to contact us, or if you'd like to be on the show, hit us up on Twitter. It's at comingdownpod. Or you can also email us. It's comingdownpod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And again, the platforms that we're on are Spotify, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes. And if you would like to leave us a little rate and review on Stitcher, that really helps us out with visibility. We're trying to get as many listeners as we can find. So really appreciate it.
Totally. Without further ado,
let's go! I got drunk with Tom a couple of times. It was weird.
Oh, yeah. Over at Marco Polo, or what? No, was that what it was called? Marco Polo's? The Shanghai.
Shanghai was where he liked to drink. Yeah, but no, it was actually, I hung out where Tom was living, man.
Oh.
At the fucking Bend Hotel. Like,
Tom and Paul, they shared a place there.
Yeah.
Yep. Paul owned the place and Tom lived with them. And with the Murphy beds that folded down.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, Jesus, such a train wreck.
It was such a fucking terrible place. But I was working with a dude named Nick who fucking lived there. Like, he had the weekly rate, you know. He was working for my dad, but he was actually a concert guitarist. Like, he could play amazing classical guitar, like finger picking, like doing fucking arpeggios and like crazy harmonies and shit. Like, it was sick. Anyway, he convinced the hotel to like give him a comfy chair in his room and a reduced rate if he fucking rolled out a vapor barrier underneath the hotel, because it was just raw dirt underneath the floorboards, and they were getting all caked with creosote and shit. So we got down there and fucking rolled out all this Visqueen, and we found a bunch of flat cats and like fucking weird ass shit down there.
That whole sentence didn't make a fucking lick of sense to me.
Sorry, Visqueen is black plastic.
Oh, okay.
Those rolls of black plastic.
What's the other stuff you said?
Creosote? It's like this fucking, or maybe it's niter, I forget, but it's this fucking weird shit that like accrues on porous surfaces when like they're just over raw fucking soil that's changing temperature all the time. And yeah, I mean, like it can start rot and like all kinds
creosote's very toxic. Yeah. Back in the day, they used to coat power poles with it because bugs don't eat it. It's because it's so toxic. Wow. So they'd slather it on power poles, but it's so toxic they don't use that anymore. Yeah. It's just black, like almost like stinky tar nastiness.
Yeah. I might be thinking of something else, but anyway, like shit was growing on the floorboards, so they had to
black
fucking
mold probably.
Yeah, so they had to make a vapor barrier.
Wow.
And so our Nick fucking convinced me to work for beer. And so
how old were you?
I was like, God, I had to be like 18 or something like that. You know, still doing trash detail for my dad. I hadn't been bumped up to carpenter yet. Like, Dad didn't give a shit about me back then. He thought I was a derelict. But well,
was he wrong?
Gave enough of shit about me to give me a job. You know, like, there is that.
Yeah,
but absolutely, I mean, you know, and I did. To his credit, I was a bit of a derelict, but
yeah, skinny, like long-haired, like blonde, like long-haired.
Yeah, I had a blonde ponytail back then. I was I wasn't drunk as such at that point, but definitely smoked a lot of weed and was like working on becoming a drunk. You know,
drunken training.
So me and Nick are rolling out this fucking Visqueen underneath the Ben Hotel, and I'm working for beer. And then we get drunk with Tom later, and he's playing guitar, and Tom's fucking singing.
Oh,
and
God,
like,
he's terrible at
We're
singing.
drinking Milwaukee's Beast Ice.
Of course.
And fucking, you know, this happens a few times, and like Nick had a bunch of weird scams that he used to run that he was showing me and stuff. Like, dude, I think I was hanging out with a con man. But anyway, I inherited a fucking beat ass old Bronco from him that ran for like a month, and it was great. But
like an OJ Bronco or the small Bronco?
No, the sport Bronco, and it was totaled. Like the frame was bent, nice. So like you had to fucking put it up on a wedge in order to get the gas tank to fill because it was bent. You know?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was a beater, dude. It was a beater, but like it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, so my parents ended up buying that hotel with some partners of theirs and remodeling it and turning it into like some boutique suites. It's called the Wall Street Suites now.
Really?
And my dad's bitching about all the fucking beer cans that they found underneath the foundation of the floorboards.
Huh. Interesting.
And I had to come clean.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
He bent over double, laughing his ass off.
That's good.
He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "No, you remember Nick, right?" And he's like, "Ah."
Yeah, because that was right near Pioneer Park.
Yeah.
Right next to Pioneer Park.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like a long time ago, it was like a decent hotel. And then it just turned into a flop house, basically.
Seedy as fuck, dude.
Well, when they started like selling hotel rooms as condos or whatever, I think to just make some money.
Well, so they had hourly rates, weekly rates, monthly rates, and then you could just buy a hotel room and like fucking kind of like just pay it off. Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of weird.
Shady as fuck is what that is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But, you know, the wheel of time, how she circles.
That place on Lafayette, I guess, which is I'm sure long gone by now.
It's gotta be
because they tore out all that stuff when they put the Parkway in.
So I think that you can't turn onto that street anymore, but the fucking cop shop is still there. I want to say, and they didn't like really change that street, so like you can still get to a vestigial spot where our house used to be. And
because I remember going there a couple of times to get weed, and there was some weird guy that was selling it there or something, and I don't know if he like was sketched out on me or something, because he was just like, I don't sell weed anymore. Like after I'd been there like 3 times, I'm like, okay, all right. So I guess it's just I don't know. It's like
probably thought you were a cop or something.
I guess, but it's like whatever, man. I'll just go somewhere else, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, he fucking kicked me out of his house a couple of times.
I never was in. And it's funny too now. It's like that you can like literally walk into a store with a sign and a billboard and just buy weed. Because it's like back then it was like, all right, I don't want to be here too long, so I'm waiting for the cops to come swinging through the windows. It's like it was sketch.
And dealers back then, if you didn't hang out and smoke a bowl, then it wasn't cool.
Right.
And like
you gotta hang out.
They didn't want it to look like there was traffic going through their house.
Man, that Pineapple Express shit was so true. It was the worst. Like you'd go to the guy's house and like.
Man, it's like you just want to get in and get out.
Yeah.
It's like, no, oh yeah, like check out my demo, man, and like check out like all this shit, dude. Oh yeah, let's pack a bowl, man. Like you pack one, I'll pack one. And you're like, dude,
bro, you want to play Risk?
yeah, right.
And then there's always like the weird hang-arounds there too, like the other people that you don't know.
Oh,
that,
the sketchy fucking
Yes.
weirdos like drifting in the shadows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're there for the same thing or they're for something else. It's like, all right, I'm some part of a lineup. This is great.
Right? Or they're like just real sketchy, like potentially tweaked out dudes who are
Yes.
like the suppliers, and they like don't want you to know that, but like,
Yes.
they
But it's
also-
so fucking clear that that's who they are.
Exactly. But they also like didn't leave, and it's just like, okay, dude, like I'm here now, and so are you. So I mean, like, how's it going? You know, like,
Right.
oh, cool, you're gonna be weird, tight.
Not talk to anyone. Okay.
Yep. Here we are.
Yeah.
You
So I guess so that's kind of a good transition to
Yeah, there we go.
to my story. So
Oh yeah, let her rip.
All right, so I went to Iowa in 1998. So, I mean, I like dropped out of school when I was 16, kind of got in some trouble. I dropped out of school, went to Job Corps when I was 16 over in Yachats, and actually graduated from that culinary, and figured out after not too long that I did not want to be a cook because you don't make much, really.
It's a shit job, man.
You work nights, you work mornings, and you work weekends,
Yeah,
and
you
you
gotta
work like
love it.
every holiday.
Yep.
Exactly.
So
You either
it's
do
like
it for the love or not do it at all. you know?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
So
restaurant work is brutal.
it really is, and people that complain about nothing will complain about their food. So so anyway, I did that, and then I got in some trouble with the law. And so the reason I ended up going to Iowa is because cops were looking for me. And well, no, let's see, I was on probation, and so I didn't want the cops to be looking for
So
me.
back this up. Like, why were you on probation?
So I was living with I would call him an acquaintance, friend-ish sort of guy I'd known for several years, living with him, and his dad. I was just barely 18, and he was 17, I think, and a third friend who was also 17. His dad, who was just raging drunk, bought us a half-gallon of Captain Morgan.
Oh, the captain.
Yeah. And so, we're not old enough to drink, but we're like, all right, we got a half-gallon. It's like, you're rich if you got a half-gallon of anything.
That's fucking danger right there.
So we're sitting in his room at his house, which was like kind of by Vince Skinner Stadium.
Okay,
couple blocks from Vince Skinner.
The baseball stadium in Bend.
Exactly, yeah. And so we're like, let's have some shots, and let's see how many shots we can take.
Contest.
Yeah, right?
Challenge accepted.
Yes. So I had 8 shots in 1 minute with chaser after each shot.
It's a speed challenge.
Well, no, but overall I had 21 shots of Captain Morgan in 30 minutes.
Oh, that seems excessive.
A little bit.
Okay, so go on.
Yeah, so 21 shots in a half an hour, 8 of those in 1 minute. And they didn't have that much, but they had enough that they were definitely plowed as well. And we drank it so fast that it really didn't hit us right away.
Of course.
Right? So we're like, hey, let's go down to Albertsons, which is on the other side of Vince Skinner.
Oh, this story's going good.
Well, life lessons have been learned. So went down to Albertsons. We're going to get snacks, munchies, right?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Partying.
We get into Albertsons and we get a couple snacks, and then boom, it hits us. And I mean, we're in Albertsons, and I mean that much alcohol like hits you hard.
Oh yeah.
We barely make it out of the store. We're like stumbling drunk coming out of the store, and we're walking back towards Vince Skinner, and it's February, I want to say.
Oh, so it's cold too.
But it's not baseball season, so it's shuttered up pretty much. And we're like, dude, we should run the bases. I mean, what better idea than to run the bases at a closed baseball stadium when you're wasted drunk? So I hoist them over the outfield fence, like center field. I hoist them over.
Okay.
But because they're too drunk to climb. It's kind of a tall fence,
Right.
I'm too drunk to climb over myself, so I'm like, well, I'll go around to the other side and see if I can get in. So I hoist them over. They're in the park. I'm going through the alley between Vince Skinner and Albertsons, and I find a shopping cart. I'm like, sweet, I can use this to climb over the fence. So I push the shopping cart around to the front gate where you go in normally.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then I climb in the shopping cart, somehow don't fall, climb over the fence and get in the stadium. And so then we're inside.
Cool.
And it's after dark. I mean, it's
right.
late. And we're like, holy shit, we're in the baseball stadium. This is going to be fun. And so we're kind of running around in there, just blasted drunk. Not being quiet because
why would you
drunk.
be? How old are you in this picture again?
Barely 18, so 18 and a half, we'll say. Which, looking back at this point in my life, 18 and a half, I'm a child, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Very much a child.
Well, is this your first time getting really, really drunk?
You know, I did not have my first. I did not get drunk until my 18th birthday for the first time.
Okay.
I didn't smoke weed until I was 18. I did nothing. Like, even though my dad had me accused of doing drugs and all kind of, like, I didn't because I didn't want my parents hassling me. I wanted to be able to say no. I've never done anything.
Right, being a good kid just to keep your parents off your back.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. I didn't do anything until I was 18. I had never been in trouble with the law, and yeah, nothing. So we're in the stadium running around, you know, we were plowed, and then it was like, well, what's behind that door? It's locked, you know. Kick the door in. Well, it's the like clubhouse where the players like gear up, right?
Sure.
So we're in there, and I find like a catcher's chest protector. So I'm like, I put it on. It's like, oh, punch me in the chest, punch me in the chest. So punches me in the chest and does nothing because it's, you know, you can get hit with a baseball and it's fine.
Sure.
So then we're running around, and then it's like, oh, here's another door. What's behind this door? Kick that door in, and it's like a supply closet. I mean, it's
right.
an empty baseball stadium. There isn't shit in this place.
There's nothing of use.
There's nothing of use.
It's February. It hasn't been inhabited in months.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Bend, Oregon in
Exactly.
1998.
And it's like the lowest of bush leagues, you know.
Very like. I mean, I think at that time it was a minor league something team, but like that team sucked so bad that they were replaced by the community college team.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like COCC has a baseball team there now, I think even.
I thought we'd hit the lowest of the lows when it was the Bend Rockies.
No, because then it became the Bend Bucks.
Well, it was the Bend Bucks,
and then the Rockies,
way
and then the Bend Bandits.
Oh,
so it was the Bend Bandits when I was.
It was the
in there.
Bandits, but like a long time ago, it was the Bandits.
98
too,
was
like,
yes, but then they came back.
Yeah, and so I felt like that was
Let's
just
try the Bandits again.
Yeah, I felt like that was just a return to form, and I'm like, you know, like it's got alliteration,
They
like
sucked.
you know, they're outlaws.
And then it became the Bend Elks, I think, after that.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah. And that stadium was great because the setting sun would be, as a viewer, as an observer of a fan, the setting sun would set over the outfield, so you just get blasted in the eyes trying to watch it.
Oh yeah, it was the worst stadium to watch a game.
Yeah,
it was so
terrible.
bad,
horrible.
Like,
seats are uncomfortable. Concessions sucked.
Why, you know, like why put people with their backs to the sun? That would be crazy,
Right?
Wait, so if you're behind home plate, the sun would set in your eyes?
Absolutely.
So also the batter, like,
Yes.
Yeah.
would just have like sun,
Yes.
like pitches coming in, like, cool, well,
Yes,
100%.
exactly. It was terrible.
right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if they hit it, God forbid they hit a home run, if they hit it to right field, it's going out into traffic or into people's houses.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Yeah, home runs were fucking sketchy.
yeah, yeah.
And like people would just kind of wait outside in the street if they didn't have tickets and just wait for fly balls, you know, and like
I got
try
in
and
trouble
catch them
once.
Shit.
We were catching foul balls and throwing them back in. Like, fuck you, your team sucks. But anyway, so my buddy sets off a fire extinguisher, one of the handheld ones in there, and so I can't. He sets off in that supply closet, and I can't. That's sodium bicarbonate. You can't breathe that.
Right.
So I go out of there, and I go around the corner, and I'm looking for my buddy, and I was like, "Hey, Steven!" And I was so drunk, I just remember seeing a light shining at the ground, and when I yell, "Hey, Steven!" the light points up at me. "Ben, police, get on the ground!" And it's like,
no.
you know, I'm like, uh-oh, you know, just like so drunk. And so I just kind of like, just turn and just go to run. Well, Brian, the other kid, and I found this out later, he had found like some hand soap, and he was writing like, "Fuck you, pigs," on the ground in hand soap. Why? I have no idea.
Oh.
Idiot.
Yeah.
So I slip in that.
Oh my god.
And I fall, and I'm out cold. Like, I was so borderline blackout the whole time that was like, good night, I'm done. I wake up in handcuffs, face down, laying next to my buddy Steven. There's like a police dog going around, the cops are there, and he is in handcuffs next to me, and he's laughing at me. And he's like, we're in so much trouble, dude. And I'm like, I know. And he's just, oh god, it was so bad. And
God, that's like the opening scene of some like comedy. You know?
I know. I'm like, what movie is this? Is it super bad? I don't know.
But I'm like, we're so drunk, and he's like, I know. And so what I found out later was I'd ran around the corner. The police threw their dog over the fence.
Is that they literally threw their dog?
Well, they lifted over. Those dogs are very, they're trained to do that. They'll throw them over a fence to chase a perp, right?
Wow. All right.
Well, fortunately, I was like a corpse laying there, because if you're moving, that dog's going to bite you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've since worn one of those bite sleeves and had a police dog bite me just to try that, and it's no joke. Like, they are machines, and they will chew through your arm, and I don't care how strong you are, that you're going to the ground, and you're not going to screw with a police dog. I mean, unless you're on PCP or something, you don't stand a chance. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, German Shepherds are big.
And Malinois and all that. And so I was out, like, not responsive, and so what apparently happened is the dog just stood on top of me. Thankfully. And I did not get bit. And I'm glad. And so... my friend or acquaintance, he was saying, oh, we're in trouble, and yeah. And then I blacked out. And then I wake up, and I'm in the back of a police car. And we're on our way, like, downtown to the downtown police station. We get down to the police station, and they put me in, like, a holding cell. And mind you, I've never been in trouble with the law.
Right.
It's like, I don't know what's happening here. And so... they pull me out of this holding cell to question me. And I am so drunk, like so drunk. Not once do I remember getting my Miranda rights read to me. Not once do I remember saying, hey, would you request a lawyer or nothing. Just started asking me questions. And because I'd never been in trouble with the law, and I was so blasted drunk, I wanted to cooperate. Like, anything they wanted to know. Like an idiot, really. Just shut your mouth. My advice, shut your mouth. Just don't say a word.
Well, the cops can't actually get you out of anything. Like, they can't testify in your favor.
They never will either.
So giving them any information is just not going to help you at all.
Exactly. So, and then there was a bar fight at... What's that bar? Right at the far end of Drake Park, you go around the corner over the little bridge at, like, Galveston, I think, and there's on the right, there's that bar that's like the
West Side Tavern?
No, it's the old rock kind of building over by the bagel place. But that place, there was a bar fight there.
It used to be West Side Bakery.
Across the street from that, like, you go around the corner over the river. Drake Park's off to the right.
I thought
there's
that was
that bar on the right,
but I guess I don't know what it is.
So there was maybe it is, maybe I'm wrong, but there was some bar fight there, and so they take me out of questioning, put me back in the holding cell. Next time I wake up or come conscious, like this, I should have had medical attention. Like, it was bad. I was never given a breathalyzer.
So they just, like, housed you like a side of beef in the back of the car while they went and answered another call?
No. I was down at the police station when they started questioning me. They took me out of a holding cell to question me. But then, there's a fight, and the cops that are there have to leave, so put them back in the cell, and let's go deal with this. So that's what they did. Well, the next I wake up, I'm in a jumpsuit.
Oh, shit.
And I'm in a jail cell. Like, okay, they must have moved me to another part of the building. And, all right. And I'm like, not the worst hangover I've had in my life. Worst based on where I am.
Sure.
That's never happened again, but...
Being hungover in jail sucks.
Yeah. And so then you get up and it's like, okay, there's a stainless toilet with no seat, and there's a polished steel mirror, and like, holy shit, I'm in I'm in a Deschutes County jail jumpsuit, and got a Bob Barker toothbrush, and like, this is not good.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh my god, this is so bad. And then they come around, and they gave me this breakfast on the indestructible tray with, and it's like powdered eggs and like I'm just not in a condition to eat anyway, and it was just I threw it up, and then I want to say later that day they said, there's an attorney here to speak with you. Mind you, barely 18, never in trouble with the law. And so it was just like in the movies. They take you out of there, they take you down a hallway, and you go into this room, and there's a partition there, bulletproof glass or whatever, and there's a phone on the wall, and the attorney's on the other side, and he's got a phone, and you sit down and talk to him, and it's like... And so... And this attorney, this is the only time I dealt with this attorney. I ended up with another attorney who was a horrible attorney. Public defender.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, the public defenders aren't really the cream of the crop.
They're just looking for a plea bargain.
Well, and I imagine that their caseload is so heavy that they just want to get them out.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they're just trying to cut their teeth, too, right? You know?
Typically, I would think so. Yeah, they're newer attorneys, don't have an established practice or not part of a practice. But, so I said... I said to this guy, what am I looking at? Like, what's worst case scenario?
Also, like, could you fill me in on what happened?
What am I charged with? What's going on?
What did I even do?
Yeah, because I didn't even know where I was. I knew I was in jail, but I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
So, a good attorney would have said to this 18-year-old kid that had never been in trouble with the law, son, it doesn't matter what worst case scenario is, because we're going to plea bargain to something. You're going to get into you're in about as much trouble as you're going to get in right now, and we'll just plea bargain. You'll probably get some community service and have to pay some restitution. Blah blah blah.
Right.
No. What does this attorney say? Well, worst case scenario, according to the sentencing guidelines, is 20 years in prison.
What an asshole!
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm 18, and I'm thinking, oh my God, 20 years in prison? Right. I'm not even that old. Like, that's more than my age. Like, I'll be, like, almost 40 when I get out of prison.
That's crazy.
Right? So that fear is in me, like, okay, as long as I'm not doing 20 years in prison, it's a win, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So then I ended up getting a public defender, and I was charged. So the way it used to be back in the day is when a cop would arrest you, trespassing, or burglary or theft. But now what they do is they charge you with every single crime that applies to what you did. They shotgun you with charges. Right. That way when you plea bargain, something sticks.
Yep.
It's not like, you got one charge and got out of it.
Yep. That's the exact strategy.
Yeah. And so this is why we have such a high criminal rate of incarceration in this country, is because they don't use discretion. Now I understand if you have somebody that is reoffended 10 times, it's like, all right, you need to deal with that person. But when it's a kid who has no criminal record at all,
first time offender kid,
and
you got drunk and
you're
made
pumping him with Class A misdemeanors, Class A felonies, like 6 charges. It's not
you climbed a fence and kicked in some doors.
Yes, exactly. Right. Criminal mischief, trespassing, breaking and entering, maybe. Okay, whatever. I didn't steal anything. I didn't go there to steal anything.
Right.
We're caught in the place. So,
yeah. But I'm sure they found 6 or 7 charges, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was charged with burglary 1, which is a Class A felony.
Damn.
I was charged with theft 1, criminal mischief, breaking and entering, trespassing, and I think a couple
some sort of vandalism, probably
like
breaking the doors or whatever.
Like squirting soap.
The actual
the soap. Yeah.
the actual attorney that ended up defending me, and I use giant air quotes when I say the word defending because I could have done a better job myself. He ended up saying, okay, well, we got a plea bargain down to a burglary 2, which is a Class C felony. And I said,
that.
I said, well, what kind of time am I looking at here? And he says, well, you did, I don't remember how long it says, it's time served, 48 hours community service, $8,000 in restitution, and 18 months probation. And I was like, done. Okay. Nope, not going to prison for 20 years. Right. I like it.
Yeah.
But I should have never taken that.
No shit, because it's a felony.
But
still.
I did not have any good counsel. My parents did not help me. My parents weren't, like, my dad found out I got in trouble. He didn't talk to me. Not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You need to be like, all right, dumbass, here's what we're going to do.
Right.
But no, not what happened.
Oh,
so,
boy.
Bummer.
I took the plea bargain. And then, I want to say 2 years later, I ended up going back and looking at the restitution. I'm like, $8,000. I kicked in 2 hollow core doors, jumped a fence, and set off a fire extinguisher. So
it's like $500 max.
Exactly. So what happened was Bend Parks and Recreation District, they own the stadium.
Right.
They filed for restitution. They put in some concrete brick walls, put in fireproof doors, put in a burglar alarm system.
So just got a bunch of upgrades.
Did a bunch of upgrades and put that on the restitution form. Bend Bandits photocopied their form and filed that. And I went back to the attorney and I said, how can they both charge me for this? Like,
right.
I was like 20, I think, when I went back to him, and I said, how do they both charge me for this? Because at this point I was still paying restitution. And he looks at it, he goes, oh, they can't do that. That's called double dipping.
Yeah.
And so I'll file a paper. I said, oh, okay. And I think he realized, I screwed that up. Why didn't I catch that,
Right.
Like, it's if this kid who's not in law at all,
Right.
this high school dropout kid catches this,
Well,
why
this
didn't I
is
catch it? Right. But also, when I spent some time in jail, you have access to the law library, fortunately.
Right.
And I went and I was looking up the laws, and, what's the definition of restitution? It's to make someone whole, not to enrich. Well, by them putting in all that stuff, they were enriched. But I just wasn't in a position in my life at that point to fight that. And so I ended up paying for all these upgrades to the baseball stadium.
Fuck.
It ended up being a little over $4,000 in, late 1990s dollars.
Yeah.
So, whenever I've been back a couple of times, I'm like, yeah, I paid for that wall. Yeah, I paid for these doors. And it was like even doors that weren't kicked in were added, like put in. The alarm system.
The Joshua Memorial door.
Yeah, it's like, can I have a plaque here, Do I get a seat with my name painted on, or a parking space or something?
On the tour, it's like, and this is Josh's door.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm much older now, and I just chalk it up to, that was a life lesson, and I'm glad I learned it at 18, because, like, when you're on probation, you have these classes you have to take on changing directions and all this other BS. And I'm in there with, like, 40 and 50-year-olds, and I'm 18, and I'm like, why are you guys here? Like, you haven't figured this out yet, But, and it's just the way it is. There's a lot of people that just don't ever figure it out. So, why I was in Iowa was I was on probation.
Correct.
Right, so bringing it back.
So I was back.
right.
So that's the background.
Wait, I want one more thing
Yeah,
out
go
of
ahead.
this. What happened to your homies?
Yeah. What did they
Because
happen
they were
to
17,
God damn it.
they got charged as minors. They were found to be joint and severally liable for the restitution. Now, when you're found joint and severally liable, what that means is you're all equally liable for the restitution. But that does not mean that the court says, okay, we're going to collect 1/3 from you, 1/3 from you, and 1/3 from you. It's like, oh, you've got a job you're paying, and we're just going to collect it from whoever we can get it from. One of them skipped town and has not been back to Oregon since, believe it or not. I'm sure that, the statute of limitations is up on that. And so he never paid anything. The other one, he did a little bit of community service, and I think he contributed maybe $500-ish in the form of community service. But I paid all the rest. I did all my community service time. And did everything.
So they just hammered you because you were 18.
Yeah, they hammered me because I was 18 and because I was the one that was employed. And so in the state of Oregon, if you owe restitution, it used to be a long time ago, you would just have to send money to the court every month. Right. Now what they do is they garnish your wages. Right. They file suit through the Oregon Department of Revenue. It dings your credit. So, like, you're already having struggles because you are a convicted criminal. Yep. And if you're a convicted felon, people automatically think, oh, this guy's a murderer, he's a rapist, he broke into grandma's house and stole her jewelry.
Right.
They don't realize, oh, no, you're some dumb 18-year-old that jumped the fence of a baseball stadium.
Exactly.
Right.
That's why I was so pissed that they fucking slapped you with a felony. It's like, that's how Americans can become second-class citizens.
Big time. Yeah. So you lose, when you become a felon, you lose constitutional rights that every other citizen has the right to exercise. So since then, I have had my record expunged, and I did all the work myself, which was, I've bought a house and I've had my record expunged, and I can tell you there's more paperwork and more work in getting your record expunged than there is in buying a house.
I believe
so.
Every
It's
word
insane.
of that.
Yep, it's insane.
And buying a house is no fucking joke.
Oh no, it's a lot of BS paperwork and whatnot, but yeah, getting your record expunged is a lot of work. And then I had cops writing letters for me, I had pastors writing letters for me, and in Oregon, a Class A or Class B felony, you're out of luck. Class C felony, you can get expunged, and only 1 Class C felony. And you have to have had a clean record for 10 years from the date of your last conviction to be eligible to get that record expunged.
Man.
3 years for a misdemeanor.
Wow.
But it's very difficult. And I understand, because you don't want somebody with, no violent felonies can be expunged. And you don't want somebody just, because it is, the paperwork from the judge sign said it is made to have not occurred. And those are the words.
Oh,
so you can answer, if somebody says you've ever been convicted of a felony, you can say no. And you're legally correct in saying that.
So in the eyes of God and the law, it just never happened.
Exactly, and so it's a reset. It's a second chance that I think a lot of people deserve, but not everybody gets.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they didn't do anything really. The other 2, they pretty much got off scot-free.
Wow.
I ended up getting hung out for that one.
Yeah.
And back then in Bend, if you had if you had to do community service, you went to the wood yard.
I've been to the wood yard.
It's not there anymore.
Okay.
It's long gone.
So a one-armed man.
That was Lefty.
Yeah.
Was his nickname. Lefty would drive you in the van out to the wood yard.
Yeah.
And
chain smoke while he watched you work.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Damn.
And you would use a log splitter to split firewood. You would stack firewood, and people would buy firewood from the county, and you would load it onto their trucks, and that's what you would do for 8 hours a day.
I worked at a firewood yard once, and it was the fucking worst job I ever had.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was terrible.
They were like 3 foot.
It's this manual
diameter rounds, that
Yeah.
were like fucking hefting all over the fucking place. They're like frozen and wet.
Yeah. And it's located at the dump.
It's at the dump. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like you catch a nice breeze off the landfill.
Great. So you're working at the dump, and then occasionally they would take us around the perimeter of the dump to pick up the flotsam, the garbage that just floated out of the dump. So you're at the dump picking up garbage. I mean, like the most futile task you could be given.
It's drift trash.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, mopping the parking lot after a rain or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go mop the walk-in, new guy. Sucker.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so I decided in my level of immaturity at 19 years old that I don't want to be on probation anymore. And I'd talked to a buddy of mine. He lived in Iowa. Actually, a guy I went to Job Corps with, and Juan was his name. And he's like, hey man, he's like, you ever thought about moving out here? And he's like, I can get you hooked up with a job, and I got a place to live. You can crash here. And I was like, it doesn't sound too bad, And I was kind of like, I was kind of on the outs with the police. Like they were kind of looking for me, and I do not recall why. I hadn't absconded. So absconding is when you take off from probation. You're on probation and you just leave.
Just not reporting into your PO.
That's absconding.
So you would legally move to Iowa under the terms of your probation.
That's not absconding.
Right.
That you can do that.
But I'm just saying you had done that. Like you were in Iowa. Oh.
No. I absconded.
Oh, so you did abscond.
I just bounced. And I was cocky enough that I called my PO and I was like, yes, I'm leaving. I left her a voicemail.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm kind of going to a place where you're not going to find me. So take care.
Tight.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, unless you're in a state bordering the state that you're on.
Well, what, they're just going to put out a bench for you, right?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
It's not going to be like a state, interstate.
It's not going to be an interstate, like, we're going to extradite him back, fly him Con Air on the plane.
We've got the marshal searching every...
Calling in the dog.
Yeah.
But,
right.
As 19-year-olds... active imaginations go, you think, well, maybe they've got, maybe they'll extradite. I don't know, but no.
Sure.
If you're in Idaho and you're on probation in Oregon, they'll just hold you and the sheriff will come get you and take you across the border. But, you're several states away. They don't even care.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a good bet.
Yeah. So...
You definitely gave him a head start,
Yeah, being an idiot. Yeah. So, and my PO, Elaine... she's retired now. I ended up coming back and getting caught and back through the whole thing, and I actually did what I needed to do and finished everything. And she was pretty tough on me, and I'm really glad, because if she hadn't, when I got back, if she hadn't turned the screws on me, who knows? But she was a good PO, and she did what she said she was going to do, and so I hope she's enjoying her retirement. I'd love to meet up with her again, because I'm so far, like I've progressed so much in life beyond that. But anyway, so I went to Iowa and moved in with my buddy and got a job at a slaughterhouse, a company called IBP, which Tyson Foods has since bought out, and it was a hog slaughterhouse. And I got a job as a hog stunner. And a hog stunner, my job is, it's on the kill floor.
Right.
Sounds friendly, right?
Yeah.
And so you got these prods, and you stun the hogs. And what that does is you're sending 350 volts, 1 amp, coursing through these hogs that are pre-wetted so that the electricity goes better, and it stops their heart.
Right.
And then they go down onto a shackling table, they're shackled, and then they're bled out, and they go through the whole process. And so that's about 8,500 hogs a day per shift. So there's 2 shifts of kill and 1 shift where they're sanitizing and cleaning the plant. Surprisingly clean for about 1,500 employees. You know, you're processing 17,400 pound hogs a day. You know,
damn.
So, yeah, a lot. So
That's a lot.
That's insane.
So I got a job working at the slaughterhouse,
and so they're just coming through on like an assembly line, and you're
so
just like
they're
zap,
fed through like the
zap.
chutes,
right.
and then you've got these almost like 2 tank treads kind of turned in towards each other that catches the hogs as they're pushed up through the chutes, and then you just press a pedal and it just cranks them up to you. And you're standing on this tower, and you kind of shock one, and then send it down onto this table that's like a big conveyor belt, and then then another one comes up. You know, they're just kind of stacked up, one right after another, right after another. And you just do that every 3 seconds. You give them a 3-second stun, send it. 3-second stun, send it. You know, so basically every 4 seconds you're completing a cycle.
Jesus.
For 8 hours a day. I mean, well, lunch break and whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
But yeah. So like this is going on right now, and this has been going on for years and years and years. And that's one plant in Storm Lake, Iowa, which is where I lived.
Gives you a real window into the food industry.
Yeah, you know, meat does not come in, you know, it doesn't grow in this styrofoam pack with cellophane over
absolutely
it.
not.
You know, it does not. And I still eat hot dogs, although I stick to kosher hot dogs because it's not what's in it. They're all edible. It's how it's processed.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the thing with those. But lived with my buddy, and then kind of I met this girl, and she had a Camaro, like a Z28 Camaro, and
cool.
she was real cute, and you know that's kind of like in my life as women have been kind of like my Achilles heel. Like, more pain, anguish, financial burdens, and just time waste has come from women than anything else in my life.
Well, men will just sort of, you know, blindly fall into, I don't know, they'll do all the dumb things, you know, and fall stupidly head over heels to please women, I guess, you know. It's a weird thing.
I mean, that's like why we have stories to tell, you know, like that's fucking classic archetype, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Age old. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like Shakespeare.
Yep. Right?
Half of it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So I met this girl, and we went to Sioux City, which is like an hour drive from Storm Lake, to get a sack of weed. Because it wasn't easy to get weed back in the late 90s, especially in the Midwest.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right,
Iowa,
you know.
like, you know, bag of dirt weed, like, you know, that's...
and pretty much all you could find there was brick weed. That was it. Because it's like, and I'd come from Oregon, which was like, you know,
dank capital of the world. Yeah.
You know, and you got Oregon, Northern California, and Washington just kind of all mixed in there. And then you go to Iowa, which is cornfields, and it's just garbage weed. But you'll take it because it's all you can get. And so we went to Sioux City, couldn't find any because that used to happen back then. Sometimes you couldn't get a hookup. You know?
Even in Bend, like there were dry spells, you know, like everyone's on tour or whatever, and, like fucking,
or it's
all
the
the
holidays or something.
Like,
you have to plan ahead.
Anybody,
Kids today don't know how good.
Dude, shit was rough, man.
I know, right?
Shit was rough. There's kids fucking outside the pot shop now, like, hey man, You going inside? Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
It's like what we did with beer.
Exactly.
Like the old homeless guys, the old bums. Be like, hey man, I'll buy you a 40 if you'll get us 2.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, teenage fucking shenanigans haven't changed, but it's just gotten a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't get any. So we were driving back, and she hits a deer.
Oh, fuck.
Doesn't mangle her car, just kind of clips the thing. And so we're pulled over. And I've got this warrant back in Oregon, and it's kind of like always in my head. And a state cop pulls up behind us. And it's like, fuck, what now, And he turns on his lights, and he comes up, and he's like, well, what's going on here? We're just pulled over on the side of the road. And she goes, well, we hit a deer, and so we look at the car, and then he's like, well, let me see your ID, and it's like, wait, okay. So I tucked my wallet into the seat cushion, so I gave the cop a fake name and a fake social security number, and of course it comes back to nothing.
Yeah.
It was my phone number with my 2 actual middle social security number digits in it.
Nice.
My first name I gave legit. My last name I made up. But it was dumb. It came back to nothing. And then, of course, she lets them search the car because there's nothing in it. And then they find my wallet with my ID.
Fuck.
So then it's like, well, you're going to jail for providing false information.
Oh, yep.
So I went to jail, and it was Cherokee County, Iowa. And in Cherokee County, Iowa, it had like a legit old school jail, like 4 cells, the bars.
Wow.
The female deputies cooked your food.
Holy shit.
And you had like a legit tin cup in your cell. And so I remember like ringing the cup on the bars, like gling, gling. We're watching Oz on HBO, playing checkers, and they'd let you out every so often to go have a cigarette and play basketball. And it was like, okay.
Ridiculous.
And it was like, you're in there with these drunks and these old guys, and I turned down an attorney because I'm like, I don't want to pay for an attorney, not because this is like my second time being in trouble with the law.
Right. Yeah, you're like, the last time didn't really go that well, so fuck it.
Yeah, and it's like, well, dude, do I have to pay for this? And I'll just... So after like 5 days in jail for basically giving the cop a fake name, which is like big fucking deal. Like, yes, it's a crime, but it's so petty. It's like so nothing.
Yeah.
So
but
nowadays...
They hadn't turned up your Oregon warrant?
I don't even think so, because...
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
and
especially
I
back
don't
then,
feel like
prior to the internet and all that.
It was before the Patriot Act, so they didn't have the connected database.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So after 5 days, these couple of these other jailbirds, they're like, what are you in here for, man? And I said, well, I'll give the cop a fake name. He's like, dude, get an attorney. You should have been out of here days ago. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, okay. And so I called the lady deputy. I'm like, can I get an attorney? And then like, okay, and so they got me. And like literally that day, the attorney came down. A judge like sat at a table or at a desk, and they're like, okay, time served. You're gone. Like, let me out. Like, and I was like, he's like, yeah, you could have been out here like 2 or 3 days ago easily.
You're like, but I was having so much fun shooting hoops with the boys.
Yeah, right.
Well, why were they holding you for so long?
Because they were holding me until I went to trial.
Oh.
But I...
Right. But you got out on a plea bargain because, like...
Yeah, plea bargain for time served.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I'd already served more than I would have ever been sentenced to for that.
Right, but they just was going to take forever for you to go to trial.
Yeah, it'd take a couple of weeks or whatever, right?
God damn it.
But Dolores' cooking is so good.
Yeah.
I figured I'd stick around.
Well, and in Iowa, they've got bail bondsmen. But no bail bondsman in his right mind is going to bail somebody out on a bond when you have no collateral, no job, nothing.
Oh, you lost your slaughterhouse job?
Oh, well, you disappear into jail without calling for 5 days. Your job's going to go away.
Yeah.
So, yes, I lost my job. So I'm like, I had this mangy beard and like cut off like military pants, that I got at like the surplus store, and like a sleeveless t-shirt, and I was just walking down the road thumbing a ride because I'm like 25 miles from the town I lived in. Some old dude picked me up and gave me a ride all the way back.
Damn.
Yeah, so moved out of my buddy's place, moved in with another friend, and I call her I don't really call her my girlfriend. This is girl, the Camaro that I was kind of seeing and hooking up with. And we had this tweaker neighbor that lived behind us, and we're like, hey man, do you know where we can get some weed? And he's like, yeah, my cousin, he's in Sioux City. I'll hook you guys up. Well, you know, he wanted to ride there so he could get some meth.
Of course.
You know, and I didn't put two and two together because I was no street smarts really at that point in my life. And so we're like, yeah, okay, so we'll give you a ride. So me and my buddy, my roommate, Pat, who I haven't talked to in years, we gave the guy a ride to his cousin's house, his cousin Terry. And we go in the house and we go up the stairs. And it's like your typical drug house, like... the drug houses back there, it's kind of like a pawn shop. You know, people would bring stuff to trade or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And it was like,
it's like old shitty stereos.
Stereos. The guy actually had an Uzi, like a legit Uzi. Like
that kind of drug house.
Yeah, so I'll elaborate. So Terry was up in his drug room or wherever, you know, and there's like me and my buddy and Terry's cousin, you know, that brought us. And a couple of chicks and, you know, some other people. And we're like, yeah, we're just looking for some weed. Well, he was, like, measuring out some meth. He had a triple beam scale, and he had an Igloo cooler that said tweakers suck on it, and the thing was full of meth.
Of course.
Yeah. And he pulled out the biggest rock I have ever seen. Because this guy got his shit from the manufacturer.
From a cook, yeah.
So it was basically about the size of a bowling ball, just a rock.
Whoa.
One rock.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, man, like what does that weigh? Like, I've never seen, because I have no experience with meth. I've never even done anything like that. So he takes it out of the bag and like chunks are flaking off and stuff, and he sets it on the scale and it's 3/4 of a pound, just this one rock of meth. And it's like,
Jesus.
And so then he puts it back. I'm like, wow, that's impressive, you know. And it's got all sorts of stuff, pills and whatever, and some people were snorting lines and stuff, and I was like, I'd always, you know, you hear bad things about meth, and so I was like, I'm not doing this, you know, I'm just here for some weed, right?
Right.
And he's like, well, I don't have any weed.
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh, okay, so
Cool.
Right? So it's like, okay, so we're not getting any weed. Well, my roommate, he decides to snort a line, and I'm just watching these people. I'm like, wow, this is trippy. Like, I've never been around this.
Right. Yeah, you're like, I'm in a real fucking drug house here.
Yeah,
like, this is crazy.
This is for real. And it was like, he would, you know, you see meth like out on the streets. It's like powder form because they cut it with pectin. Exactly, it's dirt. It's garbage. Well, this stuff this guy was selling was just like he chipped chunks off of these rocks. Like it was real stuff. And so he's like, hey, come with me for a minute. And I was like, okay. And so I just, like an idiot, followed the guy down. He had like boa constrictors. Like he had this big albino boa constrictor. You know,
God,
typical,
this sounds so...
This is a scene out of a fucking horror movie, dude.
Man. We go down in the basement. In the basement, he's got like a classic car, like a 49 Mercury or something. That's like, well,
in the basement?
Yeah, so it's like a upstairs, main floor, downstairs basement with like a garage access through the back, you know. Kind of that it's like converted, like all sorts of pawn shop stuff. You know? Just like because obviously people are selling them, fencing stolen goods. And, you know, and he's this weird, like wild-eyed, like blonde-haired, long blonde-haired kind of guy, like straggly kind of, and he's like, hey, do you want to sell this? And he hands me a sandwich baggie with about a golf ball sized rock of fucking tweak in it. And I was like, okay, you know, like
you're like, I guess I'm a meth
I guess so. So like, I was like, all right, so okay,
dude, this is so wild. So this dude's never met you.
He's trying to turn you to the dark side.
But like, maybe
I came with his cousin.
Okay,
so his cousin vouched for me.
So he knows you through that, and then maybe he saw that you weren't like doing meth with him. So he's like, okay, this dude won't like dip into his own supply.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and I'm like a pretty straight up guy. I mean, like I've always come across as pretty square. Like I can adapt to a lot of pretty straight up situations and still manage to find my way around the
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've only been chilling with you for an hour now, and I might front you a ball of meth.
And I can assure you, I wouldn't at this point in my life. I have no desire. Like, but anyway, yeah. So he hands it to me, and it was like almost like an afterthought, and sort of like I was like, oh, okay, and so I took it, and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck to do with this, right? Like, like I don't even know like what quantity do you even sell this in,
right?
Like, you know what I don't have a scale, like, but I was thinking this, and so I turn around, and I'm like, well, how much do you want for it? Because he didn't even say anything. He's like, oh, $550, and I'm like, okay, and so like I don't even know like how much is this worth, right? I don't even know what this weighs, right? And so he's like, well, let me take care of it for you. And so he like wraps it up in like duct tape and stuff, and he like balls it up, and he's like, put this under your air filter in your car, like to hide it in the car, right? So he did that, and then we drove back to Storm Lake, and my buddy's like gacked out of his mind, and he's like telling me stories and shit, because you just get this jabber jaw going, spun, and he's just all sorts of stories. And I'm just like, I'm sober, like, all right, man, okay.
Like, I just want to get high.
I didn't drink. I just wanted to smoke some weed. Yeah, like I've never done meth, and it's like I've seen all the commercials. And this is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. It's like, oh shit, I don't want to do that because I don't want like my brain to be a fried egg. So, so we get back, and then I call this kid. And I call him up, and I'm like, hey man, this guy I know, and I knew he was kind of in that scene, and so I'm like, hey, I've got this, could you have like a scale, like how am I supposed to divvy this up, do you know anybody to buy this? I don't even know anybody to buy this stuff, right? So he comes over, he's like, okay, you got an 8-ball, which is an eighth of an ounce, and he blazed out, he's like, okay, you got an ounce here. He gave me an ounce.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So you got an ounce, you sell it in 8 balls, it's an eighth of an ounce. You got teeners, which is a half of an 8-ball. You got dime bags and blah blah blah. And so like he had like a clientele lined up for me, and so like within 2 days I had it sold, done. And like from 0 to 60, I'm selling. I'm a dealer. All right, cool.
Now, did he give you a good deal on it? Did you make some money?
Yeah, well, and that was the thing, because he was like, well, because this guy was my buddy, like, he had no reason to screw me over, and I'm like, yeah, have some. I
mean, the original, your dealer, like, because he just gave you
this guy
an amount and was like, this price, and you're like, yeah, all right, sounds good.
I don't know what his, markup was, but I know that he was going through about £1 a day, was what he was selling.
So an ounce was no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I met the cook, just by chance, like you're saying, oh, you're sitting there, is this the guy that grows or whatever? This guy had a moon tattooed on his forehead. Oh. Like between his eyes, like the moon, like the face of the moon.
Whoa. A full moon.
The full moon tattooed on his forehead.
That's intense. That's commitment.
And he was a big ogre-looking, Uncle Fester-looking kind of guy, and I'm not messing with this guy because I'm just this 19-year-old dumbass, like, I'll kick my ass up and down the street. It was like $2,500 for an ounce or so when you divvy it up and sell it. I'm like, damn, I made like $2,000 in 2 days. That was easy money,
Yeah.
And it was
that's like 5 times your investment,
right? And this is '98, and so.
Yeah, that's Breaking Bad money right there.
That's good money at 19 too. You feel like you're doing pretty damn good. So, I went back. Drove back to him, and this is it's funny too because it's like pre-GPS, so it's like you get out the paper map because what was his address again, and now I got to drive up this road and over and make a right turn there, and went back, took him his money, and he gives me another one, and this went on and on for about a month, and then I was finally like, after every time I go, there's people there doing it. My roommate would go and he'd do it. I would give it to friends, like, here, have some, and whatever, like, because I was making so much money doing it that I would give some to my friends, like, I didn't even care. Like,
you just had spare amounts around. Like,
whatever. And profit margin's insanely high.
Right.
And you got people coming over 24 hours a day, which was kind of an annoying part. Like 2 in the morning, you get people, hey man.
Well, that's when they want it, is when they're all drunk and they want to fucking
just more. Coming down off their spin and they want some more.
Or the people who like buy some, fucking tap out of it, and then we're like, nope, we need to keep going.
Oh yeah, that too.
And they go and hustle, like, and then get back to you. Oh god.
Yeah. So I but after about a month of watching everybody do it and having a good time, I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm going to try this and just see what happens, because I don't see anybody dying here,
Right. Dare was wrong.
I never did the dare thing, I guess I dropped out too soon or something. So I remember the first time I did it, he took a spoon and he took a bit of it and he mushed it up, like powdered it up and put some water in there. And you just drank it like grandma's cough syrup.
Whoa.
And then you chase it with like a Pepsi because
That's raw dog.
it tastes so bad.
No
Like,
kidding.
Didn't
So
even
nasty.
I know how the
didn't
drip
even
tastes.
freebase it or
Well, no, it was
like smoke it or
it was
Oh,
fucking
no, no.
crystal. So I mean, like you don't.
It wasn't
smoking.
it was not crystal meth. It was just methamphetamine. You just powder. It wasn't actually crystals.
buddy. If you've got a rock, that is a crystal.
It wasn't a crystal though. Like I've seen crystals, and they look like you could put them on a pendant
Okay.
and hang them
I
at like
get it.
Saturday market and sell them. You
So
know?
there's a hard chunk of powder.
Yes, exactly.
so it was just like speed.
Yeah.
Well, which I mean, speed and crystal meth are like pretty
They're-
hand in hand.
They're
close,
both
yeah.
amphetamines.
Yeah,
Yeah. So anyway,
Got it. Okay.
yeah. So you took that, and it took about 10 minutes, and then it was like it feels like I see why people do it. I mean, other than the
Sure.
whole throwing your life away, and like losing teeth,
Yeah.
kissing your money goodbye, losing all personal belongings, losing your house, losing relationships with family members, losing your job, all your money, acne, sores that don't heal, bloody nose. You know, other than all those negatives.
Other than all of that, yeah.
Aside from that,
Aside from that, physically it feels really good. Like you feel like you could think like a million miles a minute. You feel like you got just like electricity just like coursing through your body. I mean, it feels really good. And so it's like, oh, okay, I can see why.
really strong cup of coffee.
That's like you snorted a cup of coffee, I guess, but and a Red Bull. You know. So I did it, and it was like, yeah, you feel amazing, and yeah, you just start jacking your jaw and want to be telling stories. And then he gave me more, and I put it like he wraps it up for you in duct tape, and like there was times I'd put it in the brake master cylinder and hide it in there, and you get paranoid, obviously,
Of course.
because the trouble for that is so much, and even more so in Midwest states that are kind of the Bible Belt, you know.
Exactly.
The drug laws are much stricter there.
Well,
than
back
they are
then
here.
there was, majority of the states were no tolerance
Yeah.
states, where it's
Yes.
like, first
Anything you're-
drug felony,
Yep.
and it's like,
Bye.
they're putting you away.
Yes. And back then, I know there was some news stories, and there was a big problem there was this meth trail between Bend, Oregon, and Iowa.
What?
There was this the trafficking of methamphetamine between Oregon and Iowa, and it was like in Newsweek magazine.
No shit.
Yes, it was bad,
Crazy.
and so I think fentanyl has kind of done away with the amphetamines, and I say unfortunately, but fentanyl just kills people instantly, which is bad. So I had this meth, and was dealing it, and I got to the point where I had a cigar box, and you take it with you everywhere you go, because the one time I didn't take it with me, somebody broke in my house and stole everything I had.
Jesus.
So then I had to go back to my dealer and go, hey, it all got stolen. He just gives me another one. He's like, here, and I just pay me for the other two, you know.
Cost of doing business, man.
Exactly. Like, he didn't care, you know. And so I had a cigar box, and I remember I was in Storm Lake, and I was heading back, because at this point I'd moved to Sioux City, and so I was heading back to Storm Lake, and I had an 84 Oldsmobile Toronado, which is just a total tweaker car, too. Two-door, white car with, like, red velour interior.
Damn.
Just a total heap of crap that my girlfriend's dad had given me. It was, like, sitting on the farm, and he didn't, like... They had this farm up in Minnesota, and he's like, yeah, you guys can have it, and he did the brakes for me. It was just a total piece of shit, but... it totally stands out.
Red interior.
Yeah. And so I remember we were in Storm Lake, and this cigar box that I had a scale. I had at that time I had 1.5 ounces of meth with me.
A bunch, just enough to keep you going.
Personal supply, totally. A whole bunch of sandwich baggies, which if you get caught with those and the drugs,
manufacturer.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And a bunch of Valium, just because somebody traded me some Valium for meth, which I'd never done Valium at the time, but I was like, well, okay, so that's got some street value, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. Like,
see, next thing you know, you're the guy with like boa constrictors and guitars and stereos and shit, like.
right? Yeah, I went to my parlor. Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes. So I have it in this cigar box, just kind of keeping my mise en place. And it was under the passenger seat of my car. And I was like, because these are those old 80s cars that have, like, the little, like, fabric that hangs down on the sides to, like, because you don't want to see under the seat because it's ugly. And so I was like, it was sticking out. And I was like, so I just, like, pushed it underneath the passenger seat so you couldn't see it. So we get back, we're driving back into Sioux City, and at this point I was stone cold sober. I had nothing in my system.
Wait, now at this point, okay, so you tried the meth once.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask this question.
Now were
too.
you like dipping in more regularly, or did you just do it once? And
Everyone,
you're like, okay,
no, I did
that
it.
was neat.
I did it repeatedly, but the thing is, I make a horrible tweaker because when I get tired, I go to bed. So like, I'd stay up for 24 hours at the most.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm done, going to bed. And everybody else, they'd be up 2 or 3 days, 4 days. Yeah. And I just didn't like that. So I would just stop. Like, I don't have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, I'm done and I'm going to bed. Good night, guys. And
I've partied on meth a couple of times, but like, one night's enough.
Exactly, but everybody else, I get up the next day and they're still going, and I go to bed and they're still going, and it's just like, okay, I mean, but then that's where you have the real big problems is people like that, and then
Well, yeah, you start getting the weird brain chemistry after a while from lack of sleep.
So you start hallucinating. and
right.
Crazy stuff
and it only
going on.
takes like 48 hours
days,
before you start really going off the rails. So.
Yeah.
And I knew people who were up for like 2 weeks and shit.
That's bad. That's so bad. And,
God. Yeah.
Eventually the snorting doesn't do it for you, and so they start smoking, and the smoking doesn't do it for them, and they start shooting it up. And it's like, and I vagal, so like needles, forget about it. Like there's no way. Like I don't go. I get needles to the doctors. Like, is there any other way that we can do this immunization? Like, is there a pill I can take or something? Because I hate needles.
Can I boof this?
God. So. Yeah, I mean, I smoked it a few times, but it when you smoke it, it turns to a powder, it turns to a smoke, but then it turns back to a powder in your mouth, and you just get this disgusting, nastiness. And, for the record, it's been over 20 years since I've done any of that.
Sure.
So, that's just...
That's why we're here.
Coming down,
Well after the fact.
Well after. So, I pushed this box under the passenger seat. I was like, I don't like that sticking out. Just my gut instinct was speaking to me. We drove back to Sioux City in the car. No issues. And I... was coming up the road. I don't remember just some street coming up towards my house, and it was Sioux City's kind of like Eugene. There's a bunch of one-way streets,
right?
And so you come up the one-way street, and you got to turn, and then you go back the other way to get to your house. And so I see a cop like 3 blocks behind me, and you're naturally paranoid because
you're looking out for that shit.
Hell yeah! I mean, what you got in the car? And so I get up to the street where I need to turn, and I'm going to my house. I'm not going to any dealer. I'm not high. I'm not drunk. I'm not stoned. I'm nothing. And I turn the corner, and I get about halfway. Let's see, I think I had to go down 2 or 3 blocks, and I get about halfway, and he turns the corner. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck.
You just know when you're...
Yeah, you'd always do.
Yeah.
You
get your spidey sense about it after a while.
Yeah, you do. And it's like they must sense it or something. It's like they just see a light, like that's the guy.
Well, they saw your like velvet cake fucking car, and they're like, "Look at this motherfucker!"
Right. So, and then I make the next turn, the next 2 rights, because I got to go back the other way because it's 2 one-way streets. I make the right turn, and as I come out of the turn, he's at the stop sign, and he's behind me. Basically, he's caught up to me.
Yeah.
And so I go like 2 blocks to my house, and I pull over, and as I pull over, he pulls kind of behind me, and as I pull over and stop, his front bumper gets about even with my door, my driver's side door, and then he just backs in behind me. Like stops and then backs up and pulls up to the curb right behind me. Like parallel parks behind me.
Whoa, weird.
I open the door.
To like psych you out of like, he's driving past?
No, because he's pulling me over.
Well, yeah, totally. But why did he parallel park? Why didn't he?
Maybe because I stopped quick enough, or too quick, or something. I don't know. And so he pulls up next to me, backs in behind me. I start to open my door. Lights come on. Stay in your vehicle.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. here we go, lights are on, and now you're like, get the meat sweats, you're cold. This isn't good, this is bad, this is really bad. And it's me and my girlfriend in the passenger seat and a roommate in the back, kind of a roommate. He wasn't really paying rent there, but he's crashing at the house.
Right.
And
the guy on the couch.
Yeah, but, friend, whatever. And so the cop comes up to the door and he's like, license and registration, please. And okay. And so I give him my license. Now, in Iowa, my tags were expired on the plates, but I had a trip permit.
Okay.
It was legal.
Got it.
I gave him the insurance, license, but in Iowa, you don't put, or at least at that time, you didn't put the trip permit in the window. You just put it in your glove box. It wasn't a sticky thing or anything. So it's almost like it gave him a reason to pull you over.
Right?
Nothing, right?
That's weird.
Yeah, what a racket, man.
So then I handed him that, and I said, he starts to go back to his vehicle, and I said, like, what'd you pull me over for? He said, well, you're making a lot of turns back there.
Give me a break.
Whoa.
Right? Yeah.
That's probable cause now?
And I said, the tags are expired on the car, but, here's the trip permit. He goes, oh, and that. I'll never forget it.
Damn.
Oh, and that. It's like, yeah,
Dick.
sure, buddy, right?
Fucking dick.
He goes back to his car, and then it's the long wait,
Right.
like the longest wait of your life. Like, okay, what's happening here?
Right.
What's going on? Comes back up, and he goes, can you step out of the vehicle for me, please? And I said, yes, sir. I get out of the car, and your natural thing is put your hands in your pockets just because you're nervous, you're trying not to shake, and I know what's in the car and stuff. Hey, keep your hands where I can see them. Oh, sorry, come back to my vehicle with me. We need to talk. As I start to walk back, there's a second cop car parked behind him, and it's a canine unit.
Oh, God damn.
No.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm fucked. Like, this is all over but the crying right now. And he goes, who's in the vehicle with you? And I said, well, it's my girlfriend in the passenger seat, and it's a roommate. Oh, okay. And he says, you mind if we search the vehicle? And then it's like, I knew at this point, because I'd done enough reading and whatnot, that if they ask you, do you mind if we search the vehicle? That means they do not have probable cause.
Exactly.
Because if they have probable cause, they don't need your permission.
They'll just search
We're
the
just going to search the damn car.
Yeah.
But that by saying that, they have admitted that they do not have probable cause.
Exactly.
And I knew that, and that was like the one little thread I was hanging to.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I said, and I was like, okay, Joshua, you've got to dig deep. Like, this is your moment.
You're in the tank.
Your time to shine, boy.
Yes, exactly. This is your moment. You've got it all on the line. You're all in. This is it.
Right,
You've got to
this
look this
answer
guy in
makes
the
or
eye.
breaks.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I looked this cop in the eye, and the other cop's behind him. The canine. I look him in the eye. My hands are at my side. I'm not shaking, but I'm about to piss my pants. And I said, actually, yes. I said, yeah, I don't want you searching my car. I said, there's nothing in it. It's late. I'm tired. I've been driving all day. This is my house right here. I want to go in and go to bed. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time. And you're not going to find anything in this vehicle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Nailed it.
Yeah, right. Oh, God. And it was like, that is what I said. And so he talks to the other cop, and he says, well, we can get a warrant and search your vehicle if we need to. And I said, if that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do. But I'm telling you right now, it's a waste of both of our times if you search this vehicle.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
what cops can do is they can go around the perimeter of the car and they can look inside.
Yep.
And if they see anything, they can establish a probable cause.
Precisely.
Right.
But they didn't have it at that time. So what they do, each one of the flashlight, they go on either side of the car and they're looking, and they want to search the car. Okay. There's a cigarette cellophane on the floor of the car, and we all know what cigarette cellophanes without a cigarette pack in them are used for.
Yep.
Fortunately, this cigarette cellophane was a virgin. Like, it had never been rolled into anything. It was and so the one guy goes, "What's that?" And the guy in the back just picks it up and goes, "It's just a cigarette cellophane." And I mean, it was clean garbage. Like, it was nothing, And he goes, okay. And they kind of look, and then they come back. And he goes, all right, well, you get that license plate taken care of. I'm like, yes, sir. And he hands me my ID back and says, have a good night.
Oof.
And they get back in their cars and they drive away. And of course, I've still got this stuff in the car, but I can't leave it there. But we go in the house and I lay on the floor, and my heart's going a million miles a minute.
Dude.
To this day, I do not know why they did not pull that dog out of the car and walk that dog around the car.
My real question, though, is why were they really suspicious of you to search your vehicle in the first place?
Unbeknownst to me, but later on I found out, because my dealer ended up getting busted.
Oh, Jesus.
And the way that they busted him is the police commandeered a fire truck, dressed up as firefighters, went to his house, said, "You've got a gas leak, get out of your house."
Whoa!
That is entrapment so hard.
So that's what they did. The fire department later on got pissed off because they're like, if we have a real emergency and it's a real gas leak and it's some shady house, they're not going to believe us.
Exactly.
Or we're going to get shot at.
Yeah.
They had never done that before. We're talking like groundbreaking law enforcement here, like that had never been done.
I mean, that's some fucked up Keystone Cops bullshit,
It worked. They got him out of the house.
Worked.
Of course, you don't flush anything because you're thinking it's the fire department.
Yeah.
And that was the time. And he got busted with 7 pounds of meth.
Damn. That's a lot of fucking
It is
meth.
very much lot, yes. And so he got busted. And what I didn't know is
he's probably still in jail. Huh?
Yeah.
Because Iowa, you can bail out. He bailed out and disappeared. I think he went to Mexico.
Okay,
now,
yeah.
after I know he bailed out, I know he ran, and I don't know. Like after that, I have no idea what happened to him. No clue. But I know that they had taken pictures of me coming and going. Like they had pictures of everybody coming and going from that property. Okay. So I was just one of the vehicles they were looking for, and they found me by chance. So that's why they, wanted to search the vehicle.
Okay, so then why didn't they get the warrant if they had some sort of information on you? Why didn't they just
I had somebody watching out for me. I mean, I have no explanation for that. They didn't get the warrant. They didn't walk the dog around the car. And
you were a low-level dealer. I doubt anybody was willing to give a warrant for that shit.
Probably, yeah.
What the fuck, just busting? I mean, you were just on a list, and somebody, some lazy cop was like, "Oh, this guy made a bunch of turns. I'm gonna go fucking run his fucking shit."
Right.
And they found that. Right. And they were like, "Okay, let's get the canine unit in there and see if he's dumb enough to let us search him."
Right.
Right.
Just because they were bored and fucking...
Well, and that's the thing, too. If they drive up a canine unit, maybe it, just spooks you enough to be like, "Oh, well, I'm fucked either way," and then you just give it up, right? Or, I don't know, maybe.
I'm not that stupid.
Well, luckily for you, you're not, and unfortunately for them, so...
Well, in Iowa, there is no... recourse for getting a record expunged. The only thing you can do in Iowa is ask a pardon of the governor for a state crime. Now, that amount, I don't know if it's a federal crime, but which then it requires a presidential pardon. But for a state crime, it's a governor pardon. Now, a pardon is not the same as an expungement. You still have a record. It just shows that you're pardoned.
Right.
So if you are asked, have you ever been convicted of a felony, you have to respond, yes, but I was pardoned.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, that should carry some weight. However, it still is what it is. So a pardon and an expungement are night and day different. And pardon's probably much more difficult to obtain.
No doubt.
Because then it's on that guy's political record. And so it's like if he has aspirations higher, he might not want to do that because he looks soft on crime, even though it's petty, like garbage. So... went in the house and I told my buddy, I said, "Hey man, if you go out and get that stuff, I'll hook you up, no problem." So because I'm not going back outside. So I went out. He went out and got it and came back and whatever. And then a couple weeks later, we had a bunch of people over and they're smoking some. And we had a bay window at the front of the house. And this idiot was smoking right in the bay window.
What the fuck?
Right as a cop went by. Well, so then...
smoking meth?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this guy was an idiot. So we kind of looked at that. I was like, well, that was dumb. Hopefully they didn't see it. But then, everybody kind of left. We were just we were going to go get some food, and these other people were taking off, and so we all left. And then we were coming back and just walking, because we went 2 blocks to just some diner to get some food. We're coming back, and I'm walking old school neighborhoods at alleys.
Right.
And so we're walking past the alley to go around to the front of the block, to go to the front of the house. And in the alley, there's some cop cars and some cops. I'm like, "Oh, that's down at the other end of the block where my house is. That's weird."
Shit.
We get around to the front of the block, and it's SWAT team, and they had raided my house.
Oh, shit.
And so it's fuck? Like, we, like, hid behind cars and stuff, and so, you know, we're hiding out, and then they, like, we must have got there, like, as they were just about done, because they kind of were all piling out, a whole bunch of cops piling out of my house, and they got in their cars, and they all left. And so we went in my house, and at this point there wasn't much there, because we were kind of flopping there at this point. I had a storage unit that I had a 2-foot glass graphics bong that I had bought at a head shop called The Last Place on Earth in Duluth, Minnesota, which still exists, by the way. It's still a head shop in Duluth. Cool. And back then, you know, graphics was, you know, because they're
really holding on to that namesake.
Well, it was at that time. It was a high dollar, you know, expensive bong, those were, like Pyrex.
Oh yeah,
you know. I had a fucking 3-foot graphics.
Yeah, like that was the Nike of bongs.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally, man.
You know, now you got glass blowers and all that, but at that time that was a
we
nice
had a 3.5 foot triple chamber fucking graphics.
Fuck yeah, you did.
The cops took, and we all cried.
So I go in my house, and they have shattered my bong on the floor, right in the middle of the living room. My bong is just shattered, and it's like the day before, I had the thing in storage, and I'd pulled it out the day before to smoke. Like if I'd have just left it in storage, it'd be. I mean, I'm sure it'd be gone by now, but it. Yeah. But yeah, so. That is so that,
wait,
you know.
Now, did you have anything in the house? Did they?
No, there was nothing except for the bong.
So just like, what a turd move. They're just like, well, fuck this bong, I guess.
Like, that was it. They poured out the powdered laundry detergent. Like, shit. Yeah, like I think my girlfriend's purse was in there, and so they like took pictures of her ID and stuff. But like that was it. There was a bong. That was it. There was nothing. But we didn't get caught.
Well, yeah, I mean, did they like contact you after that?
Nope.
Or
nope.
Your house was fucked. Like,
yeah, I came in. It was like, well, they kicked in the door and broke my bong on the floor, and you know, didn't bother to drain the water out before they break it on the floor. So you got bong water and glass all over the floor, which sucks. But there was a couple other times I got pulled over with about the same amount of meth on me, 1.5 ounces, because I just seemed to travel with about that much.
Now, is this after your dealer got busted?
No, before.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, but that's why I think that they knew, like, pulled me over and knew who I was and stuff.
Right.
You know, one time we were going to Cedar Rapids, just giving a couple of dudes a ride to the college in Cedar Rapids, and my girlfriend brought the meth, but she had it in her purse. I thought it was in the trunk, and this state trooper just pulls us over.
Fuck.
And I don't even remember why, but he gets my ID and goes back into his car, and I'm like, the stuff's in the trunk, right? She goes, no, it's in my purse. I'm like, why the fuck is it in your purse, right. You know?
Fuck.
But he didn't do anything. He just gave us our ID back, and we were on our way, and we went to Cedar Rapids, and actually we ended up going to some house party, and there was somebody with a 6-foot bong, and then like somebody had some gel tabs, LSD, for sale. Fun. And it was like 3 hits in each, and there was these little red capsules, just tiny little red capsules. Yeah. And they had, how many? I think I bought all they had left.
Nice.
And, yeah, well, it's hard to find in Iowa. You know?
Yeah.
So it was like, how much do you have left?
Find in a lot
I'll
of places.
take it. So I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they had 6 gel tabs, and so I bought them all. And I gave one to each of these 2 guys. My girlfriend and I each took one. And then, so I'm like standing on this chair, hitting this 6-foot bong at a house party after I'd taken a couple of gel tabs.
Sounds like a good time.
Right? And then we leave, and it's like starting to kick in. And I think it kicks in a little quicker than the paper stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because once the gel melts, then you got the liquid in your hand full of it's like it's like, well, I touched that, so.
It's a part of it.
I guess it doesn't matter what I do with it from this point. That's quite a story. But we tried to leave the party, and I was like, I'm kind of too messed up to drive the car, the Toronado. And she's like, well, I'll drive. And I'm like, no, okay. You know, because it's like, if you're a passenger, it's like, whatever, go ahead, right? And we went to this mini mart, and the 2 guys went inside, and I had these 2 gel tabs left because we each took one, which is they said there was 3 hits in each one. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good amount. It was good stuff. And I was like, I got these 2 left. And like, you know what? How don't we each just take one? Those guys are in the store. They're not going to know what we did. So her and I each take one, and then Dude, it was just an acid trip from there on, because it was like we're driving like on a freeway, and she went off like a abutment, and like I remember we pulled up to some chain link fence, and it was like Air Force property, use of lethal force authorized. And it was like, and it was like, where are we? And we ended up in a Motel 6. Like we got somehow somebody made it to the lobby, rented us a room. We ended up watching Devil's Advocate.
God damn it!
Oh damn it! Tripping balls in a hotel room in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and like the popcorn ceilings like dripping down, and it's just like that was quite the trip.
Yeah, that sounds like a classic trip.
It's proper.
Yeah, I mean, it was good stuff, and then but the other time I got, I'll tell you the kind of wrap this up. The one other time that I got had the law enforcement around with the meth on me. I had gone to Sioux City, and I had taken the money to pay my dealer and to get another ounce, and because I was an idiot, it's like I'm flush with cash, but what do? Oh, I take basically the exact amount of money I need to pay him. Why? Oh, in case I get busted, I don't want him to take my money. It's like, I guess, I don't know, stupid. And so, and it's like getting dark, and I got the ounce from him, and because I don't have GPS, because it doesn't exist, I take a wrong turn, and I end up like going out in I'm in some fucking cornfield in the starlight. No clue where I was.
No.
I'm lost, and I've got this stuff on me, and it's like in my boxers, like tucked in my crotch. And
where you didn't
put it under the
natural,
air filter.
Right? No, not this time. No, this time I'm going to carry it on my person like an idiot.
the last place they'll find it.
Yeah.
In my clothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're not going to search me. Well, I've got a really hard testicle right there. So, dude.
Did you find a lump? Call a doctor.
Thank you. Right? God. So, I see a sign on the side of the road, and it says like Storm Lake 26 miles or whatever, and like I didn't even bring gas money, like an idiot.
Fuck.
Right? And I see this sign, and I go, and I look at my gas gauge, and I go, oh sweet, I've got enough gas, I'll make it home, no problem, as long as I don't get a flat tire. Bang! Exactly right that moment.
Oh my God.
I thought, as long as I don't get a flat tire, and the tire exploded.
God damn.
Damn.
And it's dark. It's starlight, moon's out. I'm in the corn. It's like Children of the Corn kind of thing. I pull over, and it was like, I look in the trunk. There's a tire iron, and there's a spare, but there's no jack.
Oh no!
Right? So I'm like, what do I do? And so there's like,
here, hold my beer.
This car had those shitty.
Well, you have enough meth that you could maybe hulk out. You could hulk the fucking car up.
So this car had those hubcaps on it that look like spoked wheels.
Right.
But they're not. They're just shitty hubcaps, 80s hubcaps.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that, okay, there's a flathead screw that you unscrew, and then that thing comes right off.
Oh.
But it was dark, and I couldn't see, so I'm like jamming the tire iron in the hubcap, like freaking out, like, I've got to get this off. I've got to get a tire on this thing. I've got to get the hell out of here, So I pry the hubcap off.
But you have no jack, so like you're still just like, I don't know. Like,
I'll get as far as I can, And so I fling the hubcap out into the cornfield.
Dude, I'm fucking this hubcap.
Well, it was so mangled by the time I ripped it off the car.
Oh, right.
Like pry it off with a tire iron, and then I'm like, okay, so I loosen the lug nuts. I'm like, well, this is as far as I can get, and I see this pickup truck coming down the hill. I mean, this is rural folks, this is farmers and stuff, and it's these three guys in a pickup truck, and they're like, hey, do you need any help? And I'm like, yeah, man. I said, I got a flat tire, I got a spare, I don't have a jack. Oh, we got a jack, no problem. Like big Ford pickup truck.
Right.
They pull the jack out, they start to jack it up, and the jack tops out before the car lifts up.
Oh, fuck.
And so they're like, no problem, we'll go back to the farm, we'll get a block of wood, we'll put it underneath, we'll get you jacked up. Great. So they turn around and goose the throttle and take off. Well, it's a farm truck. What do farm trucks have in the back of them? Giant tanks of diesel fuel for the tractor. Oops, we left the tailgate down because we're taking the jack out of the truck. What happens? Giant tank of diesel fuel comes, slides out the back of the truck, dumps on the highway, shower of sparks, just down the highway with the tank of diesel, right? So now, so now I've got a scene, right? It's not just a flat tire. Now we have a scene here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, can this get any more fucked, right?
Oh my god.
But wait, there's more. So they stop, and we're like, let's lift it in the truck. The four of us, right? Like a couple 100 gallons of diesel fuel.
No problem.
No, not lifting it. Okay, so we're going to go back and get the tractor to lift the tank of fuel. Thank God you have a tractor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a tank of diesel sitting in the middle of the road in the blackness, you know.
Yeah.
And my car with a flat tire and me with an ounce of meth. And then
Potentially some fuel still smoldering on the road.
who knows?
Yeah.
And so they take off, and then this car comes up the horizon, comes around. It's some lady, just some old lady. And she's like, do you need any help? I'm like, oh, these guys went to go get their tractor to get this tank out of the road, and they're going to help me with my flat tire because the jack's still under the car or whatever. Oh, there's a state trooper up the road. Do you want me to go get him for you? I'm like, no, it's cool. We're fine.
Definitely not.
It's fine. Everything's fine. And she's okay. And she drives off, right?
And definitely went and told him.
No, she kept going.
Oh,
thank
really?
God, yes.
Okay.
Well, state trooper just coming this way.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so he comes up, lights come on. It's like, oh, fuck, here we go, right? And he pulls like through around the tank of fuel and around my car and in front of my car at least, right? And has his lights on, and I've got this ounce of meth on me, and it's like, okay, I gotta go talk to this cop and let him know what the hell's going on. I have to talk to I can't just stand here like an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I start to walk towards him, and I feel this, golf ball fall out of my boxer shorts and fall onto the road.
Tight.
No. Not tight. My boxers needed to be tighter. So I immediately froze, and I go, okay, I got to pick this up. So I bent over, untied my shoe, grabbed the rock, put it in my sock, retied my shoe. Just tying my shoe, officer, no problem here.
Yeah.
Played it cool, tied my shoe. Yeah. Over here. So, and I went up to him, and he's like, so what's going on here? You guys need any help there? I said, oh, they're helping me change my tire. I got just, playing it cool again.
Yep.
Help me change my tire. I got a flat. The tank fell out of their truck. They're getting the tractor to get the tank to put it back in their truck. And he goes, well, do you need help with anything? I said, actually, officer, here's how you can help me. When we get this tank loaded up in the tractor, I said, can you follow the tractor back to the farm to make sure nobody rear ends the tractor on the way back with a tank of diesel? Right? And he goes,
nice.
Well, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that.
Nice.
So, sure enough, they go back, tractor speed over the hill with the cop behind him. I'm furiously changing my tire. I roll the flat one off into the corn. And, and I throw the tire iron back in my car. I'm like, hey, man, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And I got the hell out of there.
Oh, my God.
So that was...
Close call in a cornfield.
Yes, exactly. So... Those were my close encounters in Iowa with.
Damn,
Jesus,
that is
dude.
wild, man.
That was a fucking ride.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my stupidity. Most of my stupidity. I mean, I've done other stupid things, but that was. And then my dealer got busted, and I never paid for any. I just got what he gave me and did some out of that. And then once he got busted, and I sold what I never paid him for the last ounce because he was in jail, and he was like, that was that, and I sold that, and then that was it. I didn't ever do any more after that because I didn't feel like looking for it.
Okay, yeah,
it kind of found me. I didn't.
I was
really
kind of
find it.
gonna ask, how did it all end? But it was like dealer got busted, and you're like, well, fuck it, dude. I guess it's over.
And did you have a job that whole time, or were you just selling
selling meth was my job.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Really, I mean,
when you fucking make that much money that fast,
it was every couple of days making a couple grand. Like it was.
Man, that is wild, dude.
Fucking A.
And then but of course I had nothing to show for it. You piss it all away.
Oh, of course, right? Because you live within your means too. You're just like, look at all this money.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like a sultan. Just like
hey, this is like, you remember the Insane Clown Posse? Like this was like back in their kind of hate. I guess they still are popular.
They're multi-generational now.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. But they were like, I would say at their peak then.
Yeah,
kind of the late 90s.
Oh, for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. They were still maybe considered somewhat dangerous by their fans back then.
Right.
Whereas now they're just kind of like
they're just like jokey,
kind of
schlocky. Kind of an act,
Yeah.
They're not trying to fucking pretend like they're gangsters or anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely like their heyday.
Yeah, so that's kind of that was kind of my trip through Iowa.
Damn, dude, that
at
is
least the meth part of it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's wild, man. I feel like there's so many more tales and yarns to spin off of this, but I think we should wrap it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, hell yeah.
Dude, if you ever want to read an interesting book that's kind of like not maybe selling as much meth, but like a dude who worked in slaughterhouses and like worked as a fucking trash man in the Midwest, there's Tristan Egolf wrote a great book about fucking it's called oh great, now I'm forgetting the name, but it's the subtitle is Killing the Fatted Calf and Freeing the Oppressed in the Corn Belt. It's fucking great.
Another good slaughterhouse book, and it's actually a classic, is The Jungle by Upton Sinclair.
Yeah, that one will make people into vegans.
That's a really good one. Have you ever read that? So it's in the late 1800s of the slaughterhouse era, and it's back when it was very, very dangerous, and there was no workers' rights. There wasn't really unions so much to speak of. People lived in company housing, and so that book is kind of one of the banned books, you know, and it kind of takes on this. It gets a little into like socialism at the end.
Yeah.
Kind of goes off on that. That's probably why it's a little banned. But it's about a family that works in a slaughterhouse, and people get hurt and people die, and you know they kind of get taken advantage of by the system. But it's a very old book, and it's a classic. Like, highly recommended.
Yeah. So this one's actually Lord of the Barnyard. Killing the Fatted Calf and Arming the Aware in the Corn Belt.
Interesting. I'll have to read that.
One of my favorite books. And he kind of has a writing style that's somewhere between Mark Twain and who wrote Infinite Jest? David Foster Wallace.
There you go.
Yeah. it's like kind of a hybrid of those guys.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll read that.
It's good shit.
I guess I'll throw out a recommendation that relates to Henry Rollins wrote. So I can't remember which book it is. I want to say it's Black Coffee Blues. I'll double check and I'll put it in the show notes. I want to say it's Black Coffee Blues, but he talks about when he had just gotten out of high school and like took one of his first jobs. He worked for the college, and the first job that he took was he was the lab rat incinerator.
Oh my god!
And so
that's
like,
interesting.
Yeah,
Right?
and so like nobody wanted this job because you know it's like. A project would end, and then they would, you know, put all the rats
Murder a bunch of
wherever,
rats, yeah.
and then he was the guy who had to like go through and like dump them all in the incinerator, and it was like 5,000 rats at a time,
Right.
and he's just like lighting up so many rats, and it's like nobody wants that job because like you feel fucking terrible, right?
Right.
But he did it because he's a weirdo, and so yeah.
Fucking Henry Rollins.
Yeah, man. Well, hell yeah, man. Thanks for
that
coming
was so
on.
good.
Definitely want to get you back on, dude. That was
Hell
fucking
yeah.
rad.
I've got other exploits.
I imagine you do.
I've got some good stories.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you,
but thanks.
you kicked it off with a barn burner for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
No,
for
that's
real.
good. That's good.
Yeah, this one was great, and I don't think I'll have to do too many edits.
Yeah.
So, hell yeah.
Yeah, good.
Hell yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna call it.
Yep. Hell yeah.